All right, here's an injury update for you guys. Shane Buechel hurt his neck in the game, so he's going to be out for an extended period of time. Brian and I are in the process of discussing, what our next steps are there. Brian Thompson, BT, hamstring, he'll be week to week. Mike Edwards will miss today, as well as Cole Bishop, Nick Morrow, Chase Claypool, Travis Clayton, Daquan Jones, Casey Toohill. These players will return today in some fashion at least. It'll be Justin Shorter, Ty Johnson, Eddie, and Matt Collins. So the time's yours. Yes.
Is there one hit with Shane that injured him or something? Is it probably?
I think there was one, but then, just it went from there. But I give him a lot of credit, man. He toughed it out.
How imperative? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, when you said you were talking about what's next, what exactly would you be looking for in maybe another quarterback screen? Is there anything specific you would want to see?
Yeah, we're talking through that. So, we're kind of seeing what our options are.
How imperative is it to bring in another quarterback, knowing that you probably don't want to subject Josh to a lot of playing time?
Yeah, Josh or Mitch. So we've got to be sensitive to that for sure.
Do you have a plan yet as far as the game Saturday with Josh?
No, nothing yet. So it'll get finalized as we move forward here.
How much would the joint practice and having those control reps might contribute to that decision?
Well, listen, it's Monday, right? We just finished up watching the film from the game, so that's really where my focus is. Do I have a thought in my mind? To both of you guys, yes, but I'm not really ready and willing to go there because it's not finalized yet. So there's a lot of things, Joe, that are going to play into it, and really my focus is on the practice here. So.
Given the focus you put on the team now playing up to the Bills standard on Saturday, how do you address that? How much do you expect that to be corrected going into week 2 of preseason? And what did you see on film specifically that may or may not have changed your mind?
There was a lot in that game, and I think the biggest thing is really continuing to try and make sure that the people who haven't been here, whether it's rookies or new faces that are veterans, understand how we do things and what the expectation level is and what the standard is, and so it's not as much the result as it is what leads to the result. That is, we're continuing to double down on that and make sure that they understand, and the whole team for that matter understands the energy that you have to come in with, the mindset you have to come in with, the urgency that you have to approach every game with, the standard, the fundamentals, and so you could just keep going from there. So listen, I thought that there were some positives in that game, but overall, we go back to the drawing board, and this is what I said about onboarding these players and making it's going to take some time to get them to continue to develop to where they can help us. Then we've got more than a couple guys that we're counting on that are missing valuable time because they're out missing practice, and so some of those guys are new guys as well. So it's just taking it one day at a time, one rep at a time, and continuing to teach, continuing to make sure that there's understanding on what's expected.
I just as a follow-up, I don't want to accuse this as a lack of leadership, but is this a byproduct of the leadership core that you lost over the offseason, and how much they played a role in enforcing that standard to a degree, and you need to have other guys step into that role to be more vocal, I guess?
Yeah, I would say it's that's a piece of it. I would say it's more of the continuity that you lose and the experience that you lose and being around the culture and so on and so forth and how it needs to look. I mean, there's a lot of young guys playing in that game the other day that was their first NFL action. So that's to be expected a little bit. And so you have to balance a little bit of perspective and yet make sure that there is, again, clear understanding of what's expected in every part of what we do.
You referenced some of the things that you liked after going back and watching it again. Was there anything in particular that maybe was a pleasant surprise or that you didn't take away from the first, living through the actual game itself?
Yeah, I would say that there were moments of the physicality that needs to be there. There were moments of the energy that needs to be there. Again, I thought T-Bass, field goal-wise, had a good day. Sam had a couple good kicks in there, punts in there as well. And so there's moments, and I do believe that you've got to celebrate those so that the players understand that, hey, this is what we want, and they build on those areas. But then also make sure we correct the things that weren't so that they understand moving forward what the expectation is, and we don't beat around the bush with what it needs to look like.
Sean, you've seen Dwayne Carter and has now for a week or so. How well is he grasping what you want him to do on the defensive line?
Yeah, he's a rookie. I mean, I thought he did some good things. He's playing lower, and he's learning how to strain. And that doesn't mean every down yet, and from snap to the end of the whistle, and that's part of what we're working on. But I thought there was some good moments from him in the game, in his first game, albeit, and now it's how he builds on that.
Same kind of question about another rookie, but Javon Solomon. What have you liked in maybe his progression from the start of camp to now?
Yeah, he's a physical guy. He's a physical player. I think the biggest thing with Solly is that he, adjusting one's game at the defensive end position to the NFL takes some time. When you're coming from a program, it's a good program, and they've had success. The level of talent he's facing at this level is different. And so learning the game and learning how to adjust one's game and the techniques that come with it takes some time. But I love his aggressiveness. I love his physicality. He's one of the first ones in the building every day. So there's some things we can work with there.
Sean, what you have to guard against anything with the guys now back here? Camp, obviously they're isolated, they're all together. Aside from the obvious of the location, maybe mindset-wise, do you have to guard against anything to keep them focused that we're still in the dog days of preseason?
Yeah, that's real, John. I mean, every year you do this move back. Hey, camp's over. No, it's not. So we reminded them of that this morning. Camp is not over. We are still in training camp, and this is an important week for us from a developmental standpoint, as you guys are asking about, right? We've got to continue to develop these guys and bring these new pieces along. And again, it's one day at a time, one rep at a time, and then the follow-up to those reps. So, and then the leadership piece. John, you were asking about leadership. That leadership, that connection from our player-driven leadership is huge. That they're connecting with those players and they're instilling not only by example but by their voice of, hey, this is the way things are here, and this is either good enough or isn't good enough. So that leadership is key for us.
What have you seen in Curtis Samuel through the first bit of training camp and now the preseason?
Yeah, I was very impressed how he, I think it was the red and blue, which was a week or two ago now, where didn't have the night he wanted to have, and then he came back and he responded, right? And so I thought he did a good job in the game, and he's played well since that moment, and I think that's key, right? You're going to have some performances that you want back, and it's what you do with them, and he's responded to that situation the other night. Yep, you're good.
You've got a number of guys hanging around the practice squad for years who kind of become regulars. How has your staff been able to develop those guys consistently?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's big, that the developmental piece, and that's what I said after the game. What I was referring to, at least, is, that's one of the challenges of a coach, one of the challenges of a staff. Having said that, I think we've done a really good job of developing players, and so that's what you look forward to every day, coming in with this young team to help them develop and bring them along. The practice squad players that have come on and done some good things, and when they've been on the varsity, on the active roster. So, that's a critical part, especially anymore where the practice squad, the complexion of the practice squad has changed from what it used to be. It used to be more of a, hey, you're on it, maybe one or two guys get brought up, and we'll just use it as a redshirt year, and they just soak. Now it's, you kind of got to have that, but you also have to have guys that can come in and play. And we experienced that a couple of years ago. We went to Miami, I think it was the second, third game of the year, in the hot game where we played down there, and we had some rookie practice squad guys that were playing. I think one of them may have started in the game, in fact. So all those are valuable lessons for us in terms of how we shape the roster and the practice squad as well.
You talked a little bit last week about Dorian Williams and the year 1 to year 2 need for growth. You helped Matt out the other night, and Dorian was in there. What did you think of his game and maybe just in general, showing some of that growth?
Yeah, I saw some growth. I saw some growth early in the game. Still a lot of work to do. Still remain very confident in Dorian, and I think this week will be a big step for him.
Mark Buzz had, I think, 29 snaps in the game.
Sorry, who was it?
Mark Buzz, Valdez Scantling.
Yep.
You see the one target he gets, ends up being a drop. But you look at the entire picture, when you look at the film, how would you assess his performance in the first?
Yeah, I believe in MBS, and this is another new veteran player that's new to us. The playbook's new. I think he's doing a lot of learning right now, and so he may not be playing as fast as as how we normally have seen him play over the years, and that is one of his greatest strengths, is his vertical speed. So I look forward to him continuing to get the playbook down, so he plays like we know he's capable of.
Watching the film back, what were your takeaways from Bobby's play calling? Did you view it well? What were any takeaways from what Bobby, the play calling?
Yeah, we viewed the game, Bobby and I, and there's always going to be lessons baked into it, right? And there's always going to be plays that a play caller himself, or I in this case, we disagree with or whatever. And those are good conversations, good healthy conversations. Bobby's wired in such a way that he welcomes those and can handle just really direct conversations and truth. And so I thought he did a really good job in a lot of areas, and I know knowing him, he's going to learn from the few he wants back. All right, thank you guys.